Well, children, come on in.
Granny, what an amazing mask you have. All the better to terrify people with, my dear.
Now, did you have a good time trick-or-treating? We did, but I wish we didn't have to stop so early. Oh, that's for the best, my child. You don't want to be out after dark on Samhain Eve, what with all the souls roaming about, and Puka and other fair folk out making mischief. Sal, what now? And Pooh who? Samhain. All Hallows. Halloween, my dear girls. The transition from fall to winter. They say that in the days of old, the Celts would mark the occasion by dousing all their fires, then relighting them to mark the change from one year to the next. That's why they call it the Witches' New Year. It was a time to harvest the fields and the fruits of the tree, and to ritually slaughter some of the livestock, storing the meat. The rest of the livestock would be driven between bonfires to cleanse and bless them. And it's still a time when Mother Earth goes to sleep. While she dreams, the veil between this world and the realms of the supernatural become thinner, allowing us to communicate with the dead and with the fair folk. How did you think Halloween, with all its spooky decorations and costumes, got started? Those Celts of old would lay out feasts for their ancestors, and put out carved turnips filled with candles to ward off more malevolent visitors. If people dared to travel, they'd dress as ghosts or as fair folk to trick the dead and the she into thinking they were one of them, in the hopes of being left alone. Centuries later, the English would go door to door on Samhain Eve, performing songs and souling plays, often involving either a hobby horse or someone dressed as a horse, in exchange for soul cakes, money, drinks, and other treats. It was like going a-wassailing at Christmas. Sounds like we really should call it trick-and-treating then. Granny, you're telling me people would actually give the people at the door booze and money just because they asked for it? It's not so different from trick-or-treating now. And besides which, they had more incentive to be generous back then. Not just because of the performances, but because you never really knew if the monsters at your door were real or not. For example, there's an old legend that claims 3 werewolf sisters come forth from fairy on Samhain Eve to devour anyone they come across. And the Pooh thing? The Puka were trickster shapeshifters, usually formed like black horses. Some stories say they just like to take people for a scary ride, but others say that they, like the werewolf sisters, would cross over into our world from fairy on Samhain, abducting people, either to eat later or to take them back to fairy to serve the she. Come to think of it, I wonder if that's where the horse and the souling plays came from. Oh, could you get that, my dears? I can't move as fast as I used to.
Candy, candy, for my Puka some candy. Caramel, apple, chocolate, or gunnuts, cherry, anything good to make us all merry. Bless all who dwell in this house, and their loved ones also, and all the little fur babies that below your table roam. The car in your garage, the visitors at your door, and all that dwell within your gates will bless you 10 times more. Candy, candy, for my Puka some candy. 1 for me, 2 for them, 3 for we werewolves of the fan.
Do you think those are the werewolf sisters? We can hear you, you know. To answer your question, yes, we're werewolves. Can we have our candy now? We have other houses to visit. You mean you're not here to eat us? You know healthy wolves don't eat people, right? And like, werewolves are half human? We're not cannibals either. Seriously, between eating you or a candy bar, we're picking the candy bar, okay? Yeah, so, candy! If we give you some candy, will you promise that you and your Puka won't take us to the underworld or whatever? Well, yeah, I mean, this is just a hobby horse, and we don't even live in the other world. We live like 3 blocks away. Thank you. Thanks. Thanks. Sheesh, all this for a single hard candy. What a rip.
Candy, candy, for my Puka some candy. Caramel, apple, chocolate, or gunnuts, cherry, anything good to make us all merry. Candy, them, 3 for we werewolves of the fen. Plus all who dwell in this house, and their loved ones also, and all the little fur babies that below your table roam. The car in your garage, the visitors at your door, and all that dwell within your gates will bless you 10 times more. Go into the candy bowl and see what you can find. If the bowl is not empty, we hope that you'll be kind. We hope that you'll be kind with caramel apple or candy bar. And we'll come no more trick-or-treating till Samhain next year. The streets are very cold now, my costume very thin. I have a little bag here to put some candy in. If you haven't got a full size, a fun size will do. If you haven't got a fun size, I'll share mine with you. Candy, candy, for my book and some candy. 1 for me, 2 for them, 3 for we werewolves of